So the first type we're going to learn about is a Boolean. And you've probably heard before that somewhere in computers, everything boils down to zeros and ones, right? So computers really only understand the concept of whether there's electricity running through a wire or if there's not. And so that humans can think about that as either true or false. So this data type only has two options, either true or false, on or off, yes or no. So in Java, whenever we write lowercase true or false, the computer will know that that means a Boolean.
Hi Mason, Mommy and Daddy are here.
Hi, do you know what my name is?
Do you know what my name is? See? So in Java, char, C-H-A-R, is just short for character. So that can be A through Z, 1 through 9, or a few symbols on your computer, even the addition and subtraction symbol. But you might think, addition and subtraction, that's an operation. Not if you put the single quote line around it. It then became a char. Mason, can you say Mommy's name? Okay.
Close enough. We'll get there.
We'll get there, time.
So a string is another type in Java, and what a string is basically a string of chars, and that can be just a word, it can be an entire sentence, and when you declare that, the string, the S is going to be capitalized, and then when you enter what the string is going to be, it's always going to be in double quotes, just like if you're quoting from a book or a play.
Can you say mom?
Mom.
Good!
Whoa,
That was really
Three
good!
sounds all together.
The next type we're going to talk about is an int. And not an integer, even though int is short for integer, but it's important that it's just lowercase int. That's what the type's name is in Java, an int. And all an int is a whole number, like 1 or 7 or negative 3084. So they can be positive or negative, but just any whole number. Okay class, today we're going to learn about numbers. So, follow along with me. First we have 1, 2, 3.
The final type we're going to talk about is a double, and it's called a double because it takes twice the amount of memory as the type that preceded it in Java. So the only thing about a double is that it has a decimal point. Okay class, welcome to 3rd grade. Everyone put down their iPhones.
You are now listening to
Thank you. Okay, so now that you all know numbers very well, we're going to talk about when it's not 1 and it's not 2, but what if you have a number in between the two of them?
1, 2.
We put a little point here, and you can do the first number, a point, and then any of the other numbers from 1 to 9. And we call this a decimal.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris Jordan, and now that you've used booleans, chars, strings, ints, and doubles in your life before, you're ready for Comp 110.
Woo!
Go Heels! So one of the fundamental concepts in programming is that of a variable. And you've probably worked with variables in math, and they work kind of similarly in programming. So a variable is just like a box. And that box or variable can be used to store a value and access it later or change it or do some operations on it. So when I first declare a variable in Java that looks like this, so I could say int x semicolon, and that just means I want to set up a box called x, and nothing's been put in it yet, but I've promised that whatever I put inside of it is going to be of type int, because when we set up boxes we have to say what kinds of things that can go in them. We have to specify the types of variables always in Java. So now that I've declared my variable, I can now initialize it. And all initializing means is storing a value in that variable for the first time. So I can take like the int 1, and assign my variable x the value of 1. And now my box has the number 1 in it. So my variable x is storing the value of the int value of 1. So now I have declared and initialized a variable. And you can do that in 2 lines like we just saw, or you can do the whole thing in 1 line. So if we rewind, we have nothing to begin with. And then we can say int x equals 1, and that just does both steps at the same time, sets up the box and puts 1 in it. After we've initialized a variable, it's called a variable because you can change it. So we can again say x is equal to something else, say 3, and that we can take out the 1, and now our variable is equal to 3. So our box is holding the number 3, the int number 3.
So now we're going to talk about expressions, which you've actually already seen in this video when we said x equals 1. The 1 there was an expression. It's just a very small expression. Now that could have instead been 1 plus 2, which is also an expression. So basically, an expression is just something that can be replaced with something that it compiled to, or replaced to a smaller type. So for instance, x equals 1 plus 2 could as easily be x equals 3. The 3 and the 1 plus 2 are both expressions. So let's use our variable again. This time I'm going to declare and initialize this variable, and I'm going to make this variable of type double, and I'm going to name it Hank. And I'm going to initialize it as a longer expression this time, 1.5 plus 4.5. So let's do this all in one line. Double Hank equals 1.5 plus 2.5. So when I press this run button on my computer, the compiler is going to read my expression. And the compiler is just that thing on your computer that takes all of your code and does what you want with it. And so it's going to read 1.5 plus 2.5. I gave it to my compiler buddy over here. And then it's going to think about, okay, what does that evaluate to? So 1.5 plus 2.5 evaluates to a 4.0. And so it's just the same as 1.5 plus 2.5. My box kind of contains a 4.0. Somebody drank from the old well this semester.
So we've learned how to work with string values when it's just one string inside double quotes. But we can also add strings together to make larger strings if we want to. And this is called string concatenation. So for example, if we had the strings nacho and then the other string cheese, we could concatenate them together with just a plus sign to make the larger string nacho cheese. And you see what's happened here. We've made one word, and so whenever we concatenate strings, the computer adds together the literal string value. So if we want spaces, we have to add that into our concatenation as well. Something else that you can do is concatenate numerical values onto strings. So if we had the string Kate, and then we add a plus sign, and then the int value 8, not in quotations, but the int value, then maybe plus at timeout. When the compiler evaluates that, it'll get to 8 and turn 8 into a car or a string and concatenate that onto. So we'll get the string Kate8 at timeout.
Woo!
So the modulus operator is on your computer as the percent sign that you'd usually use. And how that works is, let's say we're going to do 11 modulus 2. What it will look like is if you ever played football and you're choosing teams and there's 11 kids, the modulus operator is the one that roots for that one kid who gets picked last. That's the remainder. So after 2 goes in evenly into a 10 5 times, it has to go into 11. So the 1 left over, 11 modulus 2, will spit back 1 because that's the remainder. That's that one kid at the very end of the modulus is looking after, like, hey man, you have a home. We're looking after you in Comp 110. We love our remainders. Use your modulus operator. I'm Mason.
I'm Kate.
I'm Hank.
And we hope Comp 110 turns your world upside down.